The most feared invisible species in the galaxy thought Earth would be an easy conquest, until they discovered humans could see what no other beings could. The Void Wraiths had never known failure. 17 star systems had fallen under their silent rule, their worlds subjugated without a single battle. Their gift, the natural ability to bend light around their forms, rendered them completely invisible to most known species. They moved unseen through the greatest halls of power, whispered into the ears of leaders, and ended resistance before it could even take form. Infiltration was their weapon. Assassination, their art. Entire civilizations crumbled without ever knowing who had struck the killing blow. On the bridge of the flagship Oblivion, Supreme Commander Nexilin stood poised before a massive observation panel. The black ocean of space stretched endlessly before him, but his gaze was fixed on a small, vibrant sphere, Earth. "Prepare the advance team," Nexilin commanded, his voice like a silk thread across the subspace communicators. Standard infiltration protocol. Government centers first, then military installations. Around him, translucent officers shimmered as they moved to obey. Their bodies, constantly bending light, seemed to ripple with barely contained energy. This was to be another simple conquest, a primitive world still crawling out of its technological infancy. Earth had only recently tasted spaceflight, and their defenses were laughably crude. Supreme Commander Nexilin could already envision the moment Earth's leaders fell to their knees, surrendering to a force they couldn't even see. Among the gathered forces was Lieutenant Vex, freshly graduated from the Imperial Academy. Excitement radiated from him in invisible waves. His first mission would mark his name into the glorious history of the Void Wraith conquest. He would be remembered, perhaps even elevated among the elites. "Earth will be ours within 7 rotations," Vex said proudly to anyone who would listen. But not everyone shared his confidence. Older, seasoned intelligence officer Xerix stood silently near the main consoles, his form flickering slightly in doubt. He had pored over the early surveillance reports, strange inconsistencies, unexpected countermeasures, anomalies. He cleared his throat, his voice a low ripple across the bridge. "Supreme Commander, preliminary assessments suggest anomalies within the human species. I recommend caution." Nexilin turned his featureless gaze toward Xerix, dismissing the concern with a lazy flick of his translucent appendage. "They are primitive deathworlders," he said with disdain. "They barely understand the physics that sustain their own bodies. What could they possibly do against the unseen?" A collective murmur of agreement filled the bridge. The mission proceeded. Night cloaked Washington, D.C. in a blanket of muted lights as the Void Wraith infiltration teams descended. Their phase shift technology allowed them to pass through Earth's upper atmosphere undetected, their bodies blending seamlessly into the darkness. Elite operatives deployed silently into a park not far from a grand domed structure known to locals as the Capitol Building. Invisible. Untouchable. Unstoppable. Lieutenant Vex led the second strike team toward a massive 5-sided building, the infamous Pentagon, the heart of Earth's military might. They glided past oblivious guards with ease, the thrill of invincibility flooding Vex's mind. No alarms. No alerts. No suspicion. The humans weren't even looking in their direction. Pathetic. Inside the Capitol, the primary team made rapid progress. Nexilin's plan was unfolding flawlessly, or so it seemed. The first sign that something was wrong came suddenly, sharply. At a security checkpoint deep within the Pentagon, a human female in uniform stood poised, her hand resting casually on a small metallic device at her belt. Without warning, her eyes snapped directly toward Vex, who remained perfectly cloaked. "Stop right there," she barked. Vex froze. Surely she couldn't be speaking to him. She couldn't even see him. The human raised a strange, box-shaped device toward him. "I said stop. You're in a restricted area." Panic flared through Vex's veins. He glanced backward, his entire squad mirrored his confusion, invisible yet somehow seen. He activated his translator, his whisper carried in carefully modulated human English. How can you see us?" The woman didn't even blink. Tapping a communicator on her shoulder, she announced crisply, "Checkpoint Bravo. 6 intruders. Implementing protocol unseen." In the span of mere minutes, chaos erupted. Sirens howled. Red lights bathed the corridors. Squads of human soldiers, all equipped with strange eyewear, swarmed into position, tracking the void wraiths perfectly, despite their supposed invisibility. Back at the Capitol building, the primary team encountered similar horrors. Invisible operatives who had once ghosted through countless star systems now found themselves pointed at, chased, captured by mere humans. Supreme Commander Nexelin received the flood of desperate distress signals aboard the Oblivion. "Impossible," he hissed, his form vibrating with disbelief. "How are they detecting us?" There was no answer. Only the grim statistics pouring in. 15 Void Wraith operatives captured. 2 teams lost contact completely. The survivors retreating, harried and hunted, back to extraction points. For the first time in Void Wraith history, they had encountered a foe that saw what no one else could. Underscore 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 underscore. Hours later, as Nexelin brooded in his command chamber, an unexpected transmission pierced the silence. On the large holographic screen, a human figure appeared. Male, dressed formally, his face calm, almost amused. "To the Void Wraith vessel in lunar orbit," the human said. "Your infiltration attempt has failed. We've known about your presence for decades." Nexelin's translucent body twitched with shock. "Decades?" The human continued, unfazed by the commander's reaction. "Your light bending is impressive, but fundamentally flawed. You only manipulate visible light. We've been tracking your heat signatures, using simple infrared technology." The bridge fell into stunned silence. Infrared. Such a primitive concept, so basic it had been completely overlooked. On screen, the human leaned forward slightly, his expression hardening. "You have 2 choices: withdraw immediately and never return, or face a species that has prepared specifically to hunt invisible enemies." Underscore 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 underscore. On board the Oblivion, Intelligence Officer Xerix slumped in his chair, shame and anger roiling inside him. "Infrared," he muttered bitterly. "Such a simple solution, and we missed it." Lieutenant Vex, still trembling from his narrow escape, understood the grim truth. Humans had adapted, without even meeting them. Supreme Commander Nexelin, face unreadable, issued the order. "Withdraw. Now." The Oblivion and the shattered remnants of the Void Wraith forces turned away from Earth, defeated, their legacy of invincibility shattered by the one species they had underestimated. Humans. The ones who could see the unseen. The Oblivion drifted silently in the dark of space, wounded not in body, but in pride. Inside the command chamber, a heavy silence suffocated the Void Wraith officers. Supreme Commander Nexelin remained perfectly still, staring at the blue-green planet now shrinking behind them. Every instinct within him screamed for vengeance. Withdrawal was humiliation, a scar across their empire's perfect history. But Nexelin was not reckless. He knew one truth clearly now: humans were different. "Status report," he barked finally. Xerix, ever the cautious one, stepped forward. 38 operatives lost. 20 captured by humans. Extraction teams unsuccessful in retrieval. We've intercepted fragmented communications. Humans are analyzing our cloaking tech. The words hit harder than any weapon. Our secrets, Nexelin whispered. In their hands. For a species that learned so fast, it was a catastrophic risk. He turned to the gathered officers. We cannot allow them to study us. We cannot allow them to grow stronger. There was only one path left: annihilation. Nexelin issued the command with cold finality. Prepare the Dark Lance. A murmur rippled through the officers, a weapon reserved only for species that posed an existential threat to the Void Wraith Empire. The Dark Lance would not conquer Earth. It would erase it. On Earth, in a secure underground facility, scientists and military leaders crowded around a dismantled Void Wraith device. Dr. Evelyn Hart, head of Project Sentinel, adjusted her glasses and carefully lifted a shimmering module from the disassembled cloaking harness. "It's elegant," she said with genuine admiration. "They manipulate photon pathways, but their tech still leaks infrared heat." General Marcus Steele, standing behind her, grunted. "I don't care how elegant it is. Can we use it?" Evelyn smiled grimly. Give me 48 hours, General. We'll have stealth suits of our own. Maybe better. A young analyst rushed into the room, breathless.
Sir.
New scans from lunar orbit. The alien ship is charging a massive energy weapon.
The room froze.
Steele leaned in sharply. Targets. The analyst swallowed hard. Global, extinction-level parameters.
For a moment, silence reigned.
Then General Steele straightened his back, face carved from stone.
Get me the president. Now.
And scrambled the Black Valkyries. Across the world, elite teams that had been secretly training for decades activated. Project Sentinel was no longer theoretical. It was humanity's last hope. High above Earth, the Oblivion's weapons charged. Energy levels climbed steadily, the Dark Lance's capacitors humming with apocalyptic promise. Nexalon watched the countdown with icy detachment. He had no joy in this. Only necessity. 5 minutes to firing. But unknown to him, 3 modified stealth shuttles were already racing toward the ship, piloted by Earth's finest, clad in reverse-engineered suits that made them nearly invisible to void wraith sensors. Inside the lead shuttle, Commander Isaac Reeve checked his team one last time. Remember, he said through the comms. They're invisible to the eye.
Not to the heart.
We strike fast, we strike hard. The Black Valkyries, humanity's secret weapon, steeled themselves. The shuttles latched onto the Oblivion's hull, drilling silent entry points. Commander Reeve and his team infiltrated the ship's main corridors, cloaked almost perfectly against void wraith optics. The humans moved like phantoms, planting explosives, disabling security nodes, cutting through the vessel's veins. But time was slipping away. 4 minutes to firing. At the heart of the Oblivion, Nexalon sensed it, a tremor, a disturbance.
Intruders, he spat.
He dispatched guards, but they were too late. One by one, vital systems began collapsing. Explosions rocked the lower decks. The energy buildup destabilized, the Dark Lance charging wild and uncontrollable. Nexalon roared across the bridge. Seal all chambers.
Find them.
But the humans were already at the core, the Dark Lance control room. Commander Reeve stood before the pulsating weapon core, feeling its raw heat bleed into the air. Behind him, Dr. Evelyn Hart's voice crackled over the secure comms. You need to overload it from inside. It'll cause a chain reaction. How long do we have to get out? Reeve asked, eyes narrowing.
A beat of silence. You won't, she said quietly.
Reeve looked around at his team. Soldiers, friends, brothers and sisters. They all nodded without hesitation.
No fear.
Only resolve.
For Earth, Reeve said.
Together, they plunged into the heart of the weapon. In the final seconds, as Supreme Commander Nexalon reached the control chamber, he saw them, flickering figures wrapped in stolen light, tearing apart his empire's greatest weapon with savage precision. The Dark Lance went critical. A soundless flash consumed the Oblivion, vaporizing it in a glorious storm of white fire. From Earth's surface, people saw only a distant, silent star blossoming and fading near the moon. They would never know the names of those who saved them. They would never see the invisible war fought in their defense. But they would live. In the aftermath, humanity didn't waste the lessons learned. Captured technology was studied. New defenses were forged. Watch stations ringed the planet, scanning the stars with eyes that saw far beyond mere light. And somewhere in the cold void, the remnants of the Void Wraith Empire whispered in fear. They had learned too. In a universe filled with predators, there was a species even the invisible had learned to fear.
Humans.
The ones who could not be conquered. The ones who saw the unseen.
The ones who fought back. The ones who won. Liked the story?
Hit subscribe and stay tuned, because humanity's journey has only just begun.